Hello and welcome to the first Nerdic Gods Wrestling podcast. My name is Chris Davis, also known as Critic Guy Chris, and I am joined by Stephen Sims.
Stephen Michael Darren Sims.
Stephen Michael Darren Sims. Mr. Sims. Sims.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, what happened to Mr. Anderson?
Faded into obscurity after Impact. I don't know, actually. I think wasn't he training people or something? I don't know.
He was so over, wasn't
he? He was, and those just never reached his potential. Upset the wrong people.
That's wrestling politics.
Hey. I should introduce us properly as a hello, thank you for joining us. This is the first Nerdic Gods Wrestling podcast. It's something that's been in the fruition for quite some time. We are doing this podcast primarily because this Sunday, Stephen and I are off to Wembley Stadium to watch AEW All In, and we're a bit excited, so we want to talk about it.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
What'd you say?
I said, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the biggest wrestling show in the world, right?
Because WrestleMania 40 may not happen, so don't. This one's happening. Yeah. Tempting fate.
Look, we can have 5 minutes. We can have 5 minutes.
Well, our one will have taken place, whereas
Exactly.
their one, hypothetically, is going to be bigger. But we don't care. Hopefully, we'll get our own WrestleMania in a couple of years' time, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
We are both Brits, so if you're used to American voices on Nerdic Gods podcasts, I'm afraid this one is very British. So apologies. Hopefully you'll understand everything we say. Hopefully we don't give it too much of a British slant. But of course we are going to be talking about All In and of how excited we are that the UK is finally getting a show of this magnitude for the first time since 1992. You don't realise how lucky you are, Americans. Or Canadians.
Or Canadian.
Or Saudi Arabians. These days. We have had so few big wrestling events since 1992. We've had WWE comes over 3 times a year, 2 times, something like that.
Twice a year?
It's only twice. They feel like they're here all the time.
Do now.
But they're all minor shows. They used to do pay-per-views, but they weren't pay-per-views. They were British-only pay-per-views. And you knew what you were getting when you went in. You knew you weren't getting a real title change. Maybe a European title change or a hardcore title change. But you weren't getting the WWE title changing hands anytime soon. But they were very entertaining. And then we had One Night Only. That was probably the biggest thing they did right up until last year when they did Clash at the Castle, which you went to. Jealous.
Honestly,
was it good?
Probably the best night of my life. Like entertainment wise, obviously I've got 2 children, but it was like you said, the last one was 92. I was 1 year old. I got into wrestling at in 2000, late 2000, and then like we had Rebellion, Insurrection, but I'm still a youth at this point. I'm still 10, 11, 12. Like
you see, I was going to those events.
Yeah, my mom didn't have no money to send me to stuff like that, so we were lucky to go to. There's a picture. I've got a picture on my phone. Not obviously they did house shows, but like me and my 2 friends at the time, we went where we thought we were going to be on TV. We thought, we just thought that it would be. There it is. There's a picture there of me and my.
Oh yeah, with your belts.
They're not our belts. There was a person in front of us.
You just nabbed them.
And they were like, "Oh, can we use your belt?" So there's like little me in my John Cena t-shirt. What if I could save the picture? I'll send it in a minute.
Nice.
Yeah. So we went over, obviously Nottingham on our own, like on a little adventure. We were dead excited.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if that was the second or first time we went. We went twice. But that was it. And I was always said, like, I always said as a child, I was like, if there's ever a pay-per-view, I will go. And then I'm at work, I'm hiding in the toilet, I'm doing nothing. And I'm just scrolling on my phone, and it's there. It's like WWE have announced an event, and it's in Cardiff, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, Cardiff, man, why not Wembley? And obviously, there's a research, Prince Patelli Stadium, and I was like, I don't care. Text the missus. I don't think you understand how long I've waited for this. Like this is all my life. I've waited so long. Booked the tickets. I'm so excited. And then went up to Cardiff on the day before, and the place was buzzing. Like you couldn't turn around. There was flags everywhere. There was like everywhere you turned, there was like crowds of people, and you're like, fucking hell, they're Sheamus, and this is like broad daylight. They're doing like doing work for Smiths and stuff like that. They've got events everywhere. Got like a bit of a meet and greet tent. It plays the wrestling games. They've got the stupid like gimmick crane with a ball on it, and the ball with the title in it because it's a toy. And then the Undertaker's clothes in a dungeon. Like you queued like 3 hours, and it's like just 4 coats in like on a mannequin, and then a fucking stupid fucking like a chair in Undertaker's like.
See, this is how desperate we are for wrestling content to come over here. We will like, queue for hours to see a chair.
We were like flies around shit, mate. Like, and obviously we're not big nightlifers. So like, if we'd have gone out on the night, we'd have run into like Charles Robinson. I think Austin Theory was around about. The Mysterios were around about. So yeah, like, and then on the day it was buzzing. Like there was just people everywhere. Like you couldn't turn without going, "Who do you think's gonna win today?" Do you know what I mean? Like, and there was like a memorial on the side. Like it was just so good. Like it was so good, and like
it came over really well on the telly.
Yeah, we didn't. Obviously, we did like. I think WWE did such a great job of like just making us believe that we're gonna see Drew do this tonight. Like
that was gutting.
And now it's like we know the plan. Like we know that if we knew that Jay wasn't gonna win, like we knew that I knew Cody wasn't gonna win. Like I said weeks before, I was like, he's not gonna win. I put my house on it. And then when he got pinned 1, 2, 3, I was like, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
See, that ruined everything for me about that WrestleMania. It was a great WrestleMania, generally, I will say. But that deflated me. It had the chance of a proper babyface win at the end, the story and everything. And I get we're going to carry on, and his story's going to be even more involved by the time he finally finishes it. But I was ready for that. And it felt so earned for it to just be another solo interference on the main event of WrestleMania. It was so disappointing.
I remember when he had it won.
Yeah.
And this guy just pulled him out of the ring, and I lost my shit. Like, who the fuck is that? Screaming to these two people next to me. Who the fuck is? Oh, mate, I'm so angry, like so angry.
I have to say, going back to Clash at the Castle, yeah, with Solo debuting at the time, that was really deflating. Just seeing him, it's like, oh god, it's Solo. And it was like, oh, he's going to be another Uso. Solo has been magnificent since he's arrived. He's so much more like evolved than he was in NXT. It's great. I love Solo. But when I first saw him at Clash of the Castle, it's like, oh no, not this.
I don't know why my pictures are all just muddled up. I just can't get a good.
But that's the difference we've got. You say you were what was it? 1992. You were 1.
I was 1. I was born in 91.
I was 10. I wasn't yet a wrestling fan at that point. I started watching wrestling in 1993. My very first wrestling event that I watched was WrestleMania 9, the one at Caesar's Palace. And I always think the fact that I liked that show and that I got through it and still remain a wrestling fan to this day says a heck of a lot about what I will put up with. Because it's possibly one of the worst WrestleManias ever in hindsight. But I loved it when I saw it. Big, bright and colourful. And it introduced me to Bret Hart, who would go on to be my favourite wrestler of all time.
And watch them. Like I remember, I had the box set, at one point. It was like all the way up to WrestleMania in like 18 or 19. Big gold
Yeah.
box. In a couple of but I never managed to get back to like I couldn't ever bring myself to get past like what 13.
Some of the old ones are well worth watching. Definitely, there
Mm.
are some great matches. There are some matches that aren't so great, but yeah, you should definitely cherry pick some good matches.
Network's so good now, and how like imagine like because I remember as a child, like this is just as reminiscent at this point, but like I remember like
Setting
going
the
to
stage.
fucking a video shop, MVC or something. Hey, not
Mhm.
HMV, MVC or something.
MVC, yeah.
And it was like it's in Derby. We're from the same city.
Wow, I live here. I didn't grow up here.
Anyway, yeah, it was like I went in. I was like, I saw this like collection of like old wrestling, and the only way I ever had an old video was my cousin. Because I got into wrestling. Going back to that, like I'm very spread out with my storytelling. I was at my cousin's house, and I think my dad was getting married. And he had like Monday Night Raw on. It was like Friday night. It was only like it was shared on. It was on Sky Sports on a Friday night. I think it wasn't live. And I remember this like 10-man tag team match was announced. Probably like 20 man, like 10. It was like the Rock Austin, but I'm guessing it never happened. But I never made it to the end. I fell asleep. And for some daft reason, I just like my cousin was like dead inspirational. Like I play video games because like he's one of the reasons. But I don't know. I was like, oh, I'd be cool like my cousin, and he's obviously watching it. So obviously it's the cool thing to do. So I just watched it, and then just got into it. And obviously I met like when I got there, I was like there was The Rock, Kurt Angle. I think Austin had just been written off TV, but he was just coming back. So everyone was talking about Austin. I was like, who's Austin? Who's Austin? And I think I'd played like the Attitude game, the WWF Attitude. So like Austin was on the front cover of it. But yeah, my mom, like going back to my mom was like, MVC was like, there were like £15 of videotape. First one I got, King of the Ring 98. Like, what a video. Like, Sable's on the front cover of it. Like, this infamous Hell in a Cell match. Because I think he'd lent me Bad Blood 96.
Oh, yeah. Also
then,
excellent.
Just so good, man. I like, just now it's like everything's so easy accessible. Even like they're giving it away at this point. Like there was like a week-long stream. There's a week-long stream on YouTube of like the best SummerSlam matches, and he was just going back to like Eddie Guerrero and where Dominic was a youth. Like, oh man.
You see now, I say it's 1993. I get into it. My best mate Rob shows me WrestleMania 9. I see the Undertaker for the first time. I think he's cool, and I go away. And then back then they had WCW on ITV, and it was Saturday night.
Thunder.
Can't think what they called it. Was that main event? No, that was WWE's name. Apologies. It's going over my head as to what the WCW Saturday Night is. It just called that? They basically put that on, called it Worldwide, unless it was a different show. Put that on Saturday afternoon about 3:00, and it was really poor. Yeah, it was really poor when you go back in hindsight. But it introduced me to Steve Austin back then as part of the Hollywood Blondes, who were excellent and stood out at the time as being excellent. But I was watching like Larry Zbyszko and Paul Orndorff and people like that, and you got a little sample of it. But I sort of built up my fandom by watching pay-per-views with Rob up until he dropped out of wrestling and doesn't even watch it anymore. But I would like go to car boot sales and I would buy videos from there, and I just got loads and loads of the old stuff and just consumed it to the point like obsessive levels of me watching wrestling, to the point where I'm 17. My nana decides she's going to give us all an inheritance ahead of time. She wants to see us spend it, and it's got to be spent on something that means something to you. Like my cousin bought a guitar, another one bought a laptop, but my nana was very pleased. I bought a ticket for myself and my dad to go to WrestleMania 17 or X7, and we went to Texas and watched that, and it was amazing.
I still hate you for this.
I'm so happy I saw that show.
I've actually been in the like just that you threw the like an autograph, and then he was like, "Yeah, I went to 17." I could have just slapped you there and then. I
Yeah.
was just like, what? I couldn't, like, what a knobhead. Like, what a way to be like, yeah, I went to 17. Like, just explain the atmosphere. Like, explain the day. Explain the build-up. Like, surely there's a story that, like,
We
this is all over
literally
mine.
flew out. Probably not. We flew out on something like the Thursday, and it might have been the Friday morning, and we literally came back on the Monday. But while we were there, we stayed in Houston at a very nice hotel, and sort of like go out and eat and stuff. But during the day, WWE were WWF as they were back then, were putting on Access shows.
Access, yeah,
and they were amazing.
Yeah, they
in
look
terms
so
of
good.
They're really good. As a fan, that was just like, oh my god! Everywhere I look, there's something cool to do with wrestling going on. As you say, displays of things, stuff to look at, but loads of signings and just interactions and things going on. They had a ring in the middle of the area where you could watch matches taking place. I believe Kurt Angle was wrestling at the time. He did a couple of things on there, but it was like there was a JR's barbecue area where you could eat, and it was JR's barbecue sauce. It was at the time when he was really pushing it at the start. And the I don't know, we went like the Saturday and the Sunday to Access, and there were sort of different people signing at different times, and you got rough ideas of who you were going to get, but you couldn't guarantee who you were going to get. So it was like wander around, join the queue, hope they don't go by the time you get to the end of that queue and aren't replaced by somebody you really don't want. But in the end, I ended up meeting Al Snow, Mark Henry, Edge and Christian, who are ace. Who else did we get? Edge and Christian. I'm trying to think before I go to who I consider my big names. Edge and Christian, and anyway, the main one for me of the way it went was William Regal.
Oh, man.
Because he was just the nicest guy in the world.
Okay.
Once he knew I was British, he was asking me all about like Stoke and things like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to wrestle at Victoria Hall, blah blah blah. And he was lovely. He even drew a little Union Jack on the front of my program and everything like that. My commemorative thing. Really good. Met him since, and he's always nice. But the coolest thing we got was as we walked in. I think it was might have been the first day. A lady walked up to us and said, we are doing a photo opportunity with the WWF title. We'll just ask for a small donation. It's only about $20. Are you interested? Yes. yes, I'd like a photo with the WWF title. So, and it's Dave Hebner, not Earl, sadly, but Dave. And bless him.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. Rest in peace. Sorry, I think that's really come over really harsh. Sorry, Dave. And sorry if you're not dead, but I'm pretty sure you are.
I think he is.
Yeah. And it basically he puts his arm around you, but they gave you the actual WWF title, and that thing had a bit of weight to it. It was properly like I've got it to hand, but I've got a replica WCW belt. Which is like a metal one with the stuff on it, but it's clearly just a replica. The proper one would have felt far better, but the actual WWF title felt solid. It's so cool. I had a picture with it over my shoulder, and I made sure they were saying, "Do you want another one?" I was like, "Yeah," round my waist. So I got to fasten the belt round my waist and have a photo. My dad had a photo with it as well, but it got even better. This is like 17-year-old me is having his mind blown at the moment. The lady goes, "Oh yeah, if you're happy to do donate another 15, we've got the Rock signing in a bit, and you can get into the exclusive access to get his signature." I'm like, yeah. So we got the Rock signature as well, and that was very cool.
So did you actually meet the Rock then?
Yeah, I got to see him at a distance, sort of like interacting as he was signing it, so thank you, Rock and stuff. But he was sort of crowded round. But yeah, he was just there and signing. Oh yeah, compared to what he is now. You would have to kick two people out of this little cage, I think, to fit him in. But it was just like, that's amazing. And also as part of Access, there's a bit where I think it was The Undertaker attacked Triple H during a signing. And I saw that from the crowd, which is very cool. I was just walking past and he was doing his signing. Next thing, he was getting decked and stuff. And like interacted with Stephanie, Molly Holly I met as well I want to say I met D'Lo Brown. I'm sure there's others. Yeah. Um, it was just amazing. It really set you up for the day. And then
So when was this like?
on
The Saturday before?
Saturday or the Sunday of the actual show itself in the mornings. Yeah. It might have been Friday, Saturday. I can't remember, but I don't think we arrived until Friday. So I'm guessing it's Saturday, Sunday. We certainly went twice.
Really?
And it was, yeah, it
Was
was
that
just
included in your
amazing.
ticket then?
No, sadly not. But worth every
Did you
penny.
pay on the day or?
I think we may have done, or I might have ordered ahead of time.
So like, I know this. Like, I'm putting age on you at this point. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, like your nanny or your grandma, she's
It's
like
giving me some money, and then
so when
I'm
was
also
this
working
then?
at this point. I was 17. I've just finished. No, I'm 17. Is that right? I've just finished college, and I'm about to go to university. But I take a year out and work at a local prison, and it's while I'm working there that I went to WrestleMania. So I had a poster up on my wall, and I would add the matches each week as they added, and that card just got better
When
and
did you
better
book it,
and better.
So how many months in advance did you book it?
We booked it. We went through a company called Event Travel, who advertised basically in I think it was the Sunday Times. They advertised that they did events.
There's not a proper internet at this point,
No,
is there?
not back then.
No,
It was
that's what I'm
this.
saying.
You just looked in the paper, and it was like, this is a we do. Yeah, we do tours in. You can go and see Madonna in Paris or something, and it said WWF, and like WrestleMania, and it's the only time I ever saw them do this package, and inquired about it. Part of me thinking, am I about to give them some money and this is just all going to fall flat? Honestly, we were waiting on the day to get the National Express to go down to Gatwick to fly out. I think it was, or might be Heathrow, probably Heathrow, and I remember thinking, they're not going to show up, are they? This is the whole thing. Nothing, everything is just a lie. I'm not really going. And then it's all like, my God, we're on our way. This is happening. And the event itself was phenomenal. We're at floor level seating to the right of the ramp. And you could see stuff on the screen, but you could see the ring quite well. And then The Undertaker and Triple H have a feud through the crowd to the side, and you could see that really well to the right. You've got Kane, Big Show, and Raven up on the stage.
Oh yeah, because they did that. I remember that pay-per-view, like
everything was brilliant. And then the main event, it was just Austin in Texas. And you're like, obviously, most of the people are going to be from the area, you would imagine. There'll be a lot of people traveling like we did. But the reception he got when he came out, the whole... I'm going to talk about this a bit later on, actually. Spoilers. I'll jump into it now and say that was one of the things I would like to start doing in these podcasts, if we get to do more, like do match recommendations. My match recommendation for this episode is the main event of WrestleMania 17. It's Stone Cold versus The Rock. I think it's actually quite apt to watch that going into All In, and I will explain in a bit. But the crowd were never going to accept a Steve Austin heel turn that day. Never.
So what happened though? He's waxed. Oh my! I've never seen anything so brutal in my life.
Battered him with the chair, and we are cheering for every single shot. There's a moment of, we might have gone too far. No, Ben, he's ready.
So then what happens when he shakes his hand?
He shakes Vince's hand afterwards, and you're just like, yeah, it was worth it.
It just didn't go down. It just didn't go down the way I'm guessing they wanted it.
I think they expected everyone was going to go, we love The Rock.
What were they thinking?
I don't know. I think it's very, very well done. And I think the match itself is spectacular and should be watched by everyone anyway. It's a phenomenal brawl. But yeah, that result was never going to go down the way they wanted it to.
It was like last minute DQ, wasn't it?
No DQ, yeah.
Yeah, like that was last
minute. They did
because
sell that well because the commentary was like, why is he doing this?
Yeah, Jim Ross. I remember Paul Heyman going, what? And then Jim
Ross... I'm half wondering whether we might get something similar on Sunday, but that's part of my thought process. But we'll see. We might not, but...
When did you book it? Like, what are we talking? Months in advance? Weeks in advance?
Probably January time. So
that's insane.
Ahead of the Royal Rumble.
And then the package...
So going into it, you got Kurt Angle as WWF champion. Steve Austin's going into the Rumble.
Yeah.
And you're like, hopefully it'll be Austin versus Angle at WrestleMania. That would be really good. And it would have been. And then Angle has to defend the title. Austin wins the Rumble. And then Angle's defending against The Rock.
Oh, he just drops.
And then it's like, okay. Then The Rock wins the title. It's like, my God, we're seeing Rock and Austin again. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the 15 match. WrestleMania 15 match they had wasn't as good as 17 or 19 in the end, in my opinion. But I think they matured into it. But the idea of we've got the two biggest names going at each other at WrestleMania, that's what WrestleMania should be. But in my head, as a massive Steve Austin fan, I love The Rock. Everyone loves The Rock. But if you had to ask me which side of the fence I was on the Steve Austin side. I was wearing a Steve Austin shirt at WrestleMania.
Have you still got that shirt?
I have still got that shirt. And the jersey I had. I got the WrestleMania jersey I wore over the top. But when he won the title, I think like No Mercy just before it, it was like, he's not going to lose the title at WrestleMania now, is he? He's only just got it, like 1 month later or something, or 1.5 months. Like, damn, I wanted Steve Austin to win in Texas. And it's like, it's Steve Austin, Texas. I should have been a bit more confident that was going to go well.
So,
but
how much did you pay? I need to know.
I'm not sure.
And this is what, bus to Gatwick
Airport. It's like we got the National Express, so it's like crammed in as you would imagine. Then flights from Heathrow or Gatwick. Then transport from there to it was the Hilton at Houston, Texas. So it was a nice hotel. We had like an apartment in there, like with like kitchen facilities and everything. Really nice. Not that we spent a lot of time in it, but really nice. And it included your tickets. I'd already ordered 2 tickets online just in case. I got myself some backup tickets, so I could technically have sat up in the gods as well. So I've got 2 on-ripped WrestleMania tickets still, which means the numbers they quote are wrong because 2 people didn't come. But
so you bought other tickets as well?
I did, yeah, but I like $25 tickets. They aren't expensive ones. I know, but they would have been right in the gods.
Well, you could have took me with you. Like, I'd have been like 10. Oh, mate.
But it was just a phenomenal thing. We obviously can't hear the commentary. We've seen Heyman go down to do the commentary. It's like, oh, that's cool. And there were various things. But then just as we are walking out the arena, they pipe in, they play the video, there's the highlights package of WrestleMania, and they pipe in the thing of Steve Austin has done a deal with Satan himself. And it's just like, oh yeah, it probably is a heel turn, that proper heel turn. But at the time, you're just like, he's won.
They used to do it though. They did it for loads of manias, didn't they? That end package, and then they stopped doing it.
Great.
And then now Austin's back, not Austin. Now Triple H is back. They get a package like every pay per view.
Yeah,
which
and
is great.
They should get a good music video ahead of time. Get a good song that everyone remembers. Like for us, it was My Way.
Oh my God.
And it's phenomenal. I watched it again the other day.
I put it on.
Just gets the adrenaline going.
Like, just watch it. Like this is just video editing at its finest.
When they get it right, they really get it right. Yeah.
What was it? They did it the other day. They did it for Cody Brock. So good. Yeah. It was so good because I don't even like that song, and I was like, this is fucking perfection. And it wasn't. It was just somber, and it was just like, Cody's got a point to prove, and he just does not like him. And it was just
Do you remember the My Sacrifice videos they did for a while?
Of course I do, man. I love them.
They were great. People were creating other ones for people who didn't have videos.
Oh my God. Fucking Eddie Guerrero's tribute video. I remember I used to just reminiscing, that's fine. I remember I used to go break. I went to a school in Chadderton. I went to Da Vinci, and my friend lived around the corner. I lived with him at the time. So I was like, I'll go and have dinner with my mates and go back to school. Went home, obviously, went to his house, checked WWE.com, obviously. Dead. I was like, I'm not even going back to school. I'm not even going back to school. Like, I was just devastated. Absolutely devastated. Like, it's just, oh man, like the video packages, like they just hit so well. Like if they do it right, and they again, like they did it the other day, and I was like, that was incredible. They just hopefully they'll get a good one for Cody. WrestleMania 40 has to be a big one.
Oh yeah, it has to be. It has to be. They have to finish the story if it's him again. But yeah, the experience though at Mania was just amazing.
I'll still ask you questions on Sunday. I will still got things to ask.
I love talking about it, so don't worry about it. I'm going to bore you senseless.
It's the fact that the one Mania you went, it's the best Mania ever.
It's held its own very well for a long time.
The only one I'd say that was better was last year's Mania, not this year's, last year's.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree on that one, but that's
I
personal
really
preference.
enjoyed that Mania from like moment
there
to
were
moment.
some very good matches. There have been
days,
excellent matches.
I don't know. I've never been so excited for a Mania, like with Austin coming back.
That was cool.
Pat McAfee, the Austin.
Vince ruined it.
Yeah,
he stayed away.
Ruin it. But it was still like, it was just like, this is a great show. Like,
yes, it was phenomenal. And this year was on track to be phenomenal in my opinion. And just there are a few things that went against it. That like you couldn't help the whole Shane thing. Not that I would have wanted more of him, but yeah, you don't want the injury on script on there.
Like, I know. Snoop Dogg, like, you know, using his noggin, like, great job.
But I loved like Logan Paul and Seth, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah,
Mania, that was amazing.
Making an appearance.
That was really good. That elbow through the splash through the table.
Splash, wasn't it? Yeah, just
that was amazing.
Because I
remember watching that at the time, thinking, he sold that a bit. Like he's just moved it, and then they showed it. He's like, he's not looking. That's amazing. He's literally just trusted that everything will go right. It was just perfectly timed.
Just great performance.
It's like that wonderful video from like the Elimination Chamber a couple of years. From the Hell in a Cell a couple of years ago, where Sami Zayn pulled Kevin Owens off the table so Shane could fall through it. Everything has to be perfectly timed, or that goes horribly wrong.
Massively, yeah.
But it's like seconds before he just pulls him out the way, and it's like ace.
You don't rehearse that shit.
No, you can't. It's like I know how to fall.
Yeah.
But I can't practice that because I will be too injured to do it on the night. Yeah, and then, I'm probably going to need some time off after this.
Logan Paul's come out and said he wants to do it himself.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. Like, stop doing stuff. Honestly, like, I'm old. Like, you're older than I am, but now I'm at the age where I'm like, just stop doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. Like, I don't need it. Like, what was it? It was just too far. Like, I don't know. There's just things I've seen. I'm like, stop doing it. Stop doing it. Yeah. Like, I don't need it. Like, I just, you know, a little table bump. Yeah, fair enough. Like, turnbuckle to ring announcers. Yeah, fair enough. But like, don't be jumping off 20 ladders through burning tables and shit. Stop doing that.
You're listening, Darby Allin. This is not what we want to see on Sunday. I can't wait
to see him do that though. But I don't know. There's just like,
he's gonna die.
It's just what Jeff Hardy does. Like Jeff Hardy, and like just like you proved your point at WrestleMania 17. Like, what else have you got to prove? Like,
yeah.
And now look at you. You're just a fucking mess. Like, you are a mess. Like fair enough.
Sadly. Yeah. It's amazing he's still going in any form, really.
Yeah, but I mean, the Hardy brothers are incredible. Like, they still look young.
Yes, they do.
Devon and Bubba, they look rough as fuck. And then
but Bubba's still going.
Yeah, he does.
Bully Ray in Impact. Yeah, and he's a good heel.
Yeah, he was great heel.
I should say, I would hope that if we do this podcast again, or if it becomes a more regular thing, there will be a structure to it. I've got a plan. The whole introduction was jerking the curtain, and then it was the undercard, and it was going to be talking about news stories. But we kind of just skirted around, and I felt like we had to have some WWE news in the undercard bit because I thought we were going to mostly talk AEW. But as we've spent so long talking about like WrestleMania and WWE stuff, I think we should just move on to the main event of this podcast, which is the fact that this Sunday we are going down to Wembley. I'm going to see All In for AEW. How are you feeling about the show?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. Admittedly, like I follow AEW, but like as a man with children and a life, it's hard to keep up with everything. So like Raw and SmackDown, like a long time ago, got like relegated to YouTube. Like I'll put YouTube on in the morning, bowl of cereal, and it'll run through the clips, and then I'll get everything I need from it. I'm ready for the pay-per-view. I pay the £10, and then AEW, I think they slowly started to go to the YouTube. It was very you
Yep.
get bits. I don't think they was quick to upload, so it's normally it wouldn't be and then I'd obviously
haven't got the
scroll through
machine.
Facebook. Yeah, they haven't got the staff. And then on Facebook, you keep up with everything. And then if it sounds like a good thing, I'll go and check it out.
Mhm.
And then I'll watch the pay-per-view. I always give the pay-per-view, the money and then the time.
Yeah.
Which is, as you can as a fan. And obviously when they first started, I'd not heard of obviously I heard of Cody Rhodes. Well, I know about his Cody Rhodes, like I didn't see him because obviously WCPW. And then I heard everyone talks about Kenny Omega. Who's Kenny Omega? Who's the Young Bucks? So I'm very much new to these people. Like obviously, since how long's the company been going for now? 3 years.
Um,
3 years. 2019.
might be longer. I can't remember when the original was.
So what I'm trying to say is, I'm excited the fact that when they announced AEW UK, I think we could
founded in 2019.
There you go, look. I think we can all say collectively, Craven Cottage.
Yeah, that's what we thought was going to happen.
Craven Cottage.
Tony had sort of indicated it in interviews that if he ever came to the UK, we'd be looking at using the Fulham ground.
Free rent. And then I'm guessing, depending on planning permission, a free reign of whatever you want to do. Really,
you would think. But no, when they announced it, we got Wembley, and everyone went, "What, Wembley Arena? That's a bit of a seven. You probably should have done Fulham."
Yeah,
no, it's Wembley Stadium.
Because I didn't believe it. I was like,
the one WWE don't do.
Not gonna fill. No, AEW is not big enough. Like they are, but like 90K. Like you can put 90,000 people in that stadium.
And as we sit here, I think it's set up something like 85, and they've sold 80,709 or more than that now.
Yeah, and the tickets have gone
wow.
That you can get a ticket for £30 right now.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
But that's just to fill those remaining seats, isn't it? 100%. Now, really, it's amazing that it's happening. I've been looking forward to it for a long, long time. But that doesn't mean that I think it's been smooth sailing to get here.
I don't know what they're playing at.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best build-up that it could have been. I feel like Tony has somewhat dropped the ball. I think sometimes Tony Khan hasn't quite learned yet that we can't see the cogs working in his brain or the plans that he's got written up on his board. He knows that things are leading somewhere and that he's got a plan that this will get you to A and to B and to C. We can't see that, Tony, unless you give us hints. Now, sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes we just don't pick up on them. But other times, how are we supposed to predict this card? How would you 3 months ago have gone, it's going to be Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay? It's been nothing to suggest that was going to come. Like, Kenny Omega will be in a triple threat, a trios tag match. Will he? Why? With Kota Ibushi. Okay. These are phenomenal things to happen. They're going to be great, but they're not what we expected. And then there's the whole question of what were we expecting for a show this big? And is the card that we've got to the level that we would expect? And the answer to that is I'm not sure. What are your thoughts?
I just think Simon Miller said on his podcast, he thinks that this was supposed to just be a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a house show. But I don't know, I feel like it's turned into something bigger and bigger and bigger. Like,
I don't see how you could ever, would it be the biggest card that they've ever done?
Yeah.
How could biggest arena they have ever done and possibly ever will do?
Yeah. How
can that just be a house show? And if it is, you have to set that expectation right at the start. They need to turn around and say, this will just be the best of AEW. It's not a pay-per-view. Don't worry about it. But they didn't. And as it got closer, there's been a lot of questions of, is it going to be on pay-per-view? Then it was confirmed for pay-per-view. And then it was, well, what's the lineup? And we got nothing up until like 3-4 weeks before, with the build-up of MJF and Adam Cole. And since then, it's just very scattergun. in terms
I think
of how
it's
it's been
a case
announced.
of like, there's a lot of multi-man on there, isn't there? I think it's a case of like, everybody wants a piece of the pie, and Tony wants to give everybody the piece of the pie. So,
Which
I
is
mean,
understandable.
yeah, understandable. I mean, look, I'm not bothered. I'm seeing Kenny Omega. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm excited to see Kenny Omega.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely. I
of
would have
some of
preferred a
these,
singles, but
yeah, 100%. Some
I'll.
of these some of the New Japan wrestlers, I don't know. Is it Ibushi? Like, I've seen him around like lately.
Well, he
But
might
like,
become
I know,
full-time
I know
AEW potentially.
Okada. I know, and obviously I know him because they get brought up all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
But like, I'm excited to see that. I love that kind of. I love, I'm just excited to see these big names, Kenny Omega, I've seen John Moxley. Oh, I'm just excited. Put them all in, but like you said, the lead up to it, the build of it, it's just been a bit slow. It's just, I don't know. Is it all? Is it? Has he been too busy with Wembley to even book?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just so stupid. Like, I think.
And you've got the added headache for him that next week they've got AEW All Out in Chicago, so he's having to book 2 shows, and
Well, they haven't got anything going on either. That's the problem.
they've got a couple of matches named. You've got a TNT title match with Darby Allin and Luchasaurus, and you've got Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, don't get me wrong, I would have loved both of those matches on All In. But presumably they're going to have to, just to fill people in, we're recording this 11 o'clock British time on Wednesday. So tonight, early morning tomorrow, is they're going to be the live Dynamite, and they're recording Collision because of everybody travelling over to come to London. So we don't know the final card as yet. This is going in. We know Tony has said in a press conference that there will be changes that have been dictated due to personal circumstances. But we'll cover those. Yeah, he did a presser yesterday that Fightful have covered and given quite a bit of coverage to. I listened to some of it yesterday. But he hasn't confirmed exactly what's happened. We are aware that Ray Phoenix, who is named to be as part of the Stadium Stampede match, is not going to be there. I believe it's expected that's due to visa issues. But he's probably getting written off tonight on Dynamite. But shall we go through the card and then we'll talk about what our thoughts are on any sort of preview, any expectation, or what like fantasy booking ideas you might have?
The O card.
At the moment, we're not getting him. I would have liked that. I was hoping for him.
Yeah, it would have been sick.
But we open with the zero hour, which at the moment has 1 match confirmed, which is Aussie Open defending the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles versus MJF and Adam Cole. Better Than You, Baby. Which,
what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. The other matches that have been announced, we've got the World Tag Team titles. We've got FDR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, who will be there apparently according to Tony, versus the Young Bucks. Hikaru Shida is defending the women's title versus Tony Storm versus Saraya versus Dr. Britt Baker. Darby Allin and Sting versus the Mogul Embassy, AR Fox and Swerve Strickland in a tag team coffin match.
What is that?
It'll be, you've got to put your opponent into the coffins, but it'll be I presume you'll have to put both of them in and close the coffins. They had a coffin match before with Darby Allin and Jeff Hardy.
Oh, did they? Oh,
and Ethan Page. He's had one with Ethan Page as well.
What was the match that Christian and Jet Perry had? Buried Alive.
It was something like that. They may have called that something
Tombstone
slightly different,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something similar. I've forgotten all about that, but yeah, I think it had a slightly different name. We've also then got the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, Golden Lovers, and Hangman Adam Page versus Konosuke Takeshita, Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. We've then got the Stadium Stampede match, which currently is Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Ray Phoenix as it stands, versus the Blackpool Combat Club's John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and 3 members to be announced.
Oh, wait to see that. I don't understand. If we went to Blackpool Friday, we are guaranteed to see them. If they don't do something in Blackpool,
they need to do something.
There is something wrong.
Yeah.
They have to do something in Blackpool. They have to. They have to, right? Surely.
You would think. You would think it's a missed opportunity.
Are we getting D-Bry?
Although
Is D-Bry coming over or what? He's got to,
he might appear as part of the show, but he's too injured to perform. Surely,
What's the broken
still
arm?
recovering. I have seen people sort of speculating, going, "Yeah, we could kick people." It's like he's still got a broken arm. We'll see. But I did think, yeah, you would expect them to film something in Blackpool, but when they do, will that? No offense, Blackpool, but will it affect their reputation? It's not like you look at Blackpool and you think that's a place where people go to fight. No, that's people where people go for stag do's, parties, and getting drunk. Yeah,
I've been to Blackpool in ages.
Yeah, it's a great place, but I'm not sure about the fighting situation. We've then got Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. We've got CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the Real World's Championship.
What's going on with that? Because
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
And then we've got MJF versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Title. Okay, just go back to the CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, the Real World Title. Basically, what's happened is when CM Punk came back, he came back holding a bag.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell you what was in the bag, which quite clearly it was his title that he'd never given back. And he basically said, "This is mine until somebody beats me. Like, I wasn't beaten for this, and I've not got a title shot. Max, what are you doing?" He keeps making subtle references to Max, and Max has not replied in any way. And eventually, he brought the belt out versus Ricky Starks and said, "This is the real world title because no one's beaten me." And he put his own mark on it by putting a black X on it. Now, officially, it is not officially recognised by AEW, but they are putting real world title match in commas above the matched graphics. So the title is on the line. It's effectively the collision belt, and Dynamite has got MJF's, but MJF could, in theory, go to Dynamite and go to Collision and wrestle. CM Punk obviously less likely.
They've got to clear that.
Oh yeah, they will.
This is CM Punk's idea as well. I bet Tony Khan doesn't know what to say about it.
I actually quite like it. They need a second title. Whether this is the way to do it, I don't know. But the opportunity was there because obviously he wasn't defeated. He's not had his. He should at least have got a rematch by now.
I get that, but like, I don't know, man. I don't like this whole brand split collision thing. I don't like it.
I don't, but it is giving us more focus on certain guys. We're getting to see.
I like to see Miro
people
and
a lot more.
And stuff.
Yeah,
and it's a shame that Miro
more
and
House of
Andrade
Black.
It's a shame that these characters got pushed to the side. It's just like because they came over with offers of gold or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah,
and they've kind of just been pushed aside for the bigger WWE guys that they struggled to compete against on the card. You did Daniel Bryan, John Moxley, I don't know, Cesaro maybe not, but that Cesaro has always been a great wrestler. I can't wait to see Cesaro.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him. What other matches are you thinking may get added to the card?
I mean, Jeff Jarrett's got something going on. He had that big promo with Talksport, didn't he? Is it
Grado? Grado.
Oh.
He hit him over the head with his guitar. I have a theory on that one, or a bit of fantasy booking and a potential theory. I think that's how you warm the crowd up. Because I don't see you giving Aussie Open and MJF and Adam Cole literally. I know they're saying get in your seats, but for the first match, you want the crowd ready. Now we either get a dark match of people they've not announced of some description, or what I wonder when they might do, and what I would do for what it's worth. I'd have Jeff Jarrett come out, complain about the fact that he hasn't got a match on the card and the fact that he did all the promotion for this show and everyone's really ungrateful. Show the clip of him hitting Grado with the guitar, at which point Grado comes out and you have the match. And you do a very brief match just to warm everybody up. And that gets Grado is only on the 0 hour because I think it'd annoy people to put him on the main card because a lot of people won't know who he is. And it just gets the crowd going. And Jarrett's music will get a good pop. And if there's a guitar shot, even better. And surely someone's wearing a guitar.
Greg Miller wore one the other day.
Yep, he did.
What a busy man Jeff Jarrett is. Think about how busy that man is.
Yeah.
Like he's just put that game out.
Yep. WrestleQuest.
Obviously been everywhere with that. Then obviously now he's in London. Like crazy.
Survived a Texas Chainsaw Massacre match. It was weird. So that, as it stands, 0 Hour only has the one match announced, but I do wonder if we're getting something else.
Think we'll get like a battle royal,
maybe
winner,
that or that
winner gets
singles
a
or
title
something.
shot against Cassidy.
Don't know.
Cassidy's
Possibly.
dropping that belt next week, isn't he? To Moxley, easy.
Probably in a singles match. That is one of my complaints actually about this card, is the AEW international title is not being defended internationally. You've defended it in Canada, but you've had a chance here to defend it. You've had a chance here to defend it in the UK on the biggest stage. You could have done Mox versus Cassidy at All In, but they aren't. He's going to go back to the States and defend it there again, probably, at a guess. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating. What are your thoughts on Aussie Open versus MJF and Adam Cole then? What do you think what do you think we're going to get as a result?
It's difficult, isn't it? They can't. It's there to set something up, and that's all it's there for. But are they going to win? No. This is going to be a night of like a build to it's going to start and it's going to build all night, and then we're going to leave fucking shocked to our core.
I hope Tony Khan is as good a booker as I believed he was up until the fact that he didn't announce any matches for this show. I've always thought, because he's been very subtle at booking things in the past, and sort of really things have come back. It's like, oh god, it all ties up. It's brilliant. I want to believe that he's that good, and I agree with you. I think it starts at 0 Hour. For me, Aussie Open retain it, and I think I'm expecting it to either be Adam Cole takes an injury, as was talked about on a Cultaholic podcast the other day. Today, I think it was. Takes an injury to take that into the main event, or the focus is on MJF. MJF gets beaten down by Aussie Open, which weakens him for the main event. But ultimately, Aussie Open win the match. Their job is to win the match.
Whose idea was it for the title match?
Adam Cole's. Adam Cole suggested this tag match, then went on to list these great tag teams that have won it, not mentioning the Young Bucks, only mentioning Red Dragon. It's just, that's a subtle little thing. I know, and he broke up from them, off from them last year or earlier this year, but then because he was injured, we never got a payoff. But it's like, you're a good face now. You should be getting on with them, shouldn't you? But you're not mentioning them. Okay, could be nothing. Could be a lot of things.
So what faction is formed? What faction is formed at the end of this pay-per-view?
I will give you my theory as we go through the show.
Is Aussie Open, is they a part of it?
I think they are either associated, affiliated, or are like actual members of whatever this is going to be. And I say, this is my fantasy booking.
AEW loves a faction.
Love a faction. They love a faction, and they love to hide one in plain sight. And then just reveal it, i.e. the Pinnacle.
Love the Pinnacle.
That was such a great reveal. Oh, I didn't want to start yours. I didn't want to take your faction. I want to start my own. That's brilliant. It was amazing. He was getting beaten down. The Inner Circle were about to beat up MJF, and MJF basically turned around and said, I wasn't ever trying to take over the Inner Circle. I don't want your faction. I've got my own. And then the cameras basically the lights went out, lights came back on, and you suddenly had Wardlow, FTR, and Sean Spears all on stage with Tully. And then, yacked him. It was great. Really, really good. I want something similar. I want to come away going, that's amazing.
Because it is setting up for the rematch next week, isn't it? This part 2 will be next Saturday.
Maybe.
Got to be.
May well be. But we shall see.
And it has to set it up, because like they've only got one. They've got one episode of Dynamite to then lead up to. They can't have.
I'm not sure about a rematch. for All Out.
Well, who
But
does
I
he
will
pick?
get to it.
All right, fair enough.
I'll get to my reasoning why.
It's just,
Sod it. I'm just going to give you my reasoning now because
yeah,
it's
I
going
need
to
to
get
know.
confusing.
Man.
Yeah, you've got. We've later got one of the other matches that's coming up is Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. Okay,
Right.
Will Ospreay is associated with Don Callis.
Mhm.
Don Callis has been hanging around for some reason for a while. He sort of hitched his. I can never think of that expression. He's tied himself along to Will Ospreay anyway, as well as Takeshita. Will Ospreay, I don't know how much you are aware of like New Japan and whether you picked up from AEW, but he's got a faction called the United Empire. Basically, it's why they all do that all the time. That's their symbol. Aussie Open are part of the United Empire.
So
okay,
with Ospreay,
with Will Ospreay. Okay, now Jericho was trying to join the well, the suggestion was he was going to join the Don Callis family. Don Callis' family at the moment consists of Takeshita. And he didn't want Jericho. Quite clearly didn't want Jericho by what happened on AEW Dynamite. Now, my question there is, what is his family? So, my theory is that Don Callis has been building his family in the background for some time. Shortly after Adam Cole returned to AEW after his head injury, Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega. It's not long after he comes back. He shows he can do it and he comes back. What if Don Callis' head is turned and he suddenly goes, "Oh, there's my new cash cow. I've got Takeshita. He'll be my bodyguard in the meantime, but I'm going for him." And then he's got the association with Will Ospreay, so therefore the association with Aussie Open. The whole Kingdom thing could be a setup for a new version of the Kingdom with Adam Cole and those guys actually setting up a Kingdom, and it's all this fallout is actually completely fake and it's just to set that up. Or they could just be red herrings, or they could be part and parcel of a family that reveals itself in the main event. And the reason I say WrestleMania 17 for me is essential viewing going into this is I think you're going to get the deal with the devil. I think Don Callis will come out during the main event, and there'll be a question of what's he doing here. And it'll be both men will feign ignorance. Adam Cole will be revealed as being in league with the devil, and he'll be the Vince McMahon type. And by the end of All Out, we'll have the family revealed, the actual Don Callis family. I think it's just too much mention of the Don Callis family for us not to have one. Not really.
Yeah, because I've been watching it like in bits and stuff, and I've like, what family? Like, you know what I mean? I know.
And I genuinely believe the MJF thing. The trouble is MJF is usually the smartest guy in the room, but I believe that Cole has actually got through to him, and he's actually vulnerable. I want to believe that, and I think the reward for us
I don't know.
is a heel. Exactly, it could be completely off, because that's the thing. But it just feels like what you would expect is MJF to turn on Cole, because MJF's the devil. But what if he's actually bought it? Because the reward we get is, oh no, we've lost Adam Cole, but we've set him up as a major league heel now, who can then feud with the Elite or feud with whoever as part of the family. Our reward is we've got now our own personal scumbag. He's our scumbag. We've got MJF. And the reason I don't think there'll be a rematch is I think MJF might be too scarred by it for next Sunday. I think it'd be a case of, this, based on what he said about how he can't cope with like abandonment or people turning away from him, and he struggles with that. I think it'll break him. And then you can have him come back. But I don't know. It's just my theory. The other thing that made because I was going in with this idea that it was going to be the Kingdom, and the Cole was just setting up the Kingdom. Because I can't believe they're going to end up as two friends. It feels like a setup. Now it could be that's just too obvious, and that Tony is going to go that route of like, no way up. They are genuinely friends. It could be that you'll go with MJF screwing Cole. But Adam Cole, in his interview, in his promo the other day, facing MJF, talked about how he thought his career was over and he was struggling to come back, and then he got his chance to come back, and this means more to me than you could possibly know. Somebody else said that back at WrestleMania 17 when they'd just come back from a near career-ending neck injury, and they told The Rock that they couldn't.
JR interview.
Yeah, that it meant more to them than they could possibly imagine, and they did a deal with the devil.
I think you're onto
something. I
genuinely think you're onto it. I think you've nailed
it. I think it's a fun story if it's not.
Because at the end of the night, you could have Ospreay, Aussie Open.
I just can't help thinking.
Just stood over MJF.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we need something. The world should change with the main event of All In. It's that big. Yeah, this is the 100%. Chance for him to really make a mark here. You've got this is your chance, Tony. Show off. Yeah. Don't just do anything. You've got near 80,000 people who are going to scream at you if you get this right. You'll never get better heat than that. So I noticed you've just taken your headphones off. I'm not sure if you heard any of what I've just said. That's all right. I thought this is the chance. I feel like it should be massive. That finish.
MJF makes me feel like wrestling's real again.
He's superb.
Every interview I've heard him, he doesn't break ever. He calls it.
Watching him slap hands recently has been really weird.
It's a bad word. He's a bad word. I shouldn't say. He's a bad person. I genuinely believe the character. He genuinely he just split up with his fiance or something because of how bad he is. I just believe it. And the fact that he'll get outsmarted, I don't know. I just feel like they've both got a plan.
Has he made him vulnerable? I'm with you.
I just feel like they've both got a plan, and who executes it first?
Well, this is and that might be it as well. It's a case of, does MJF have a plan to screw him, but will he decide not to do it on the day? And it's that the Cultaholic have done a podcast which is predictions for All Out, and they're what they'd like to see. And one of the prediction stories is that they've both got plans to screw each other, and that MJF pulls out of it, but Cole doesn't. And it's that's so they both recognise they're going to do it, but he's bought in a bit more to Cole than the other way, and it I could see that, but I just feel like we need to be walking out of All In with our jaws on the floor.
Yeah, 100%.
Thinking oh God, that Tony had a plan. The whole time Tony had a plan. Yeah, and so that's what I want. Whether I'm going to get it or not, but that's what I want.
I'm just bewildered. I'm shocked now. If that happens on Sunday, I just don't want MJF to get hurt.
No, can I just say, I have never laughed, or I haven't laughed as much in such a long time as I did with that promo that he cut on Roddy Strong from the ring, where he told him to shake it off, you bland bitch. That was hilarious.
Funny.
It's really good. I don't play many things to my wife, but I'd like to show her that one.
Where's Thingamabobby? The other part of
Kyle.
Era. Yeah, where is he?
He had a neck injury. Whether or not he's ready to come back is up in the air. He could be a surprise return if he's ready.
Can you just do Undisputed Era again?
Bobby Fish is gone. He left.
Yeah, he had a massive argument with Punk, didn't he?
Yeah, he disappeared off to Impact. I don't even know if he's injured there or whether he's just working elsewhere now. But I heard that the Kyle O'Reilly injury was really bad. But we'll see. It would be good to see him.
What's going to be match of the night?
Match of the night? Well, the best wrestler in the world is wrestling. Now, I'm going to let that settle while people think who I'm talking about. Unfortunately, in my opinion, he's wrestling Chris Jericho. I think on his day, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler,
Yeah,
best
100.
performing wrestler in the world. As much as I'm a massive CM Punk fan. I can't wait to see him again. I'm really looking forward to that. But he's the best storyteller for me. Him and MJF. But the best performer is Will Ospreay. I hope that he is not hampered by Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho can really pull it out and go for it, that has potential to surprise many, many people, I think. But I feel like it probably will be hampered. The Bucks versus FTR should be brilliant because they've got precedent for it and they're both amazing tag teams.
Is it just too much pressure for them to deliver?
Maybe. But then they're both pressure players. They've both been in big situations and they've pulled it off. And they're going to want to go big. Whether the whole stuff that's been happening with Cash Wheeler is dictating and there has to be a title change is a question. It may have already been planned that it was going to be, but we won't know in the night. But we'll see. The 6-man with Kenny, it'll be amazing just to see Kenny, Kota, and Hangman. Plus, I really want to see Jay White. So, and Takeshita. And Juice Robinson now. Juice Robinson is amazing. So that match should be brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Stadium Stampede could steal the show just by being absolutely chaotic.
Yeah,
and I love John Moxley.
Where are we going to be like touching? Are we going to be getting wrestlers next to us? Yeah.
We're on the end of a row. It's possible.
Going to concessions.
Unlikely, but we're on the end of a row. Yeah, I did sit and work that out. I thought we're on the hard cam side as well. On the side that the hard cam's looking at. Yeah, I think. Based on traditional way of booking things, it's usually
I can't
that
wait
side.
to see the stadium.
Yeah, it should be good.
I've never been. I'm so excited.
I've never been to New Wembley. I've been to Old Wembley, but
Natalie's, my partner's sister, she had a place next to Wembley, and I was in my element just being outside of Wembley. Just like the history, man. I'm just so excited.
It's there's so many things that could be phenomenal. We know we're getting a Fozzy performance.
Can't wait.
That's gonna be fun. Just hearing the crowd sing the songs. I really want the Acclaimed on the card. I'm really hoping we're going to get the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass versus the House of Black added, because I really want to do the scissor thing.
We should find out when we get all. It'll be the first thing we
should know.
Yeah.
And it would be great to get them over here and everybody doing the scissor thing. It'd be funny. I was saying to you before we started the podcast, if I haven't scissored 6 people before I've walked through the door, it's gone horribly wrong on the day. And beyond that, I'm not sure what else we're expecting. I can't help but think that Jack Perry and Hook is probably going to be, if it's going to be that match, will probably be at All Out. It's an easy one to move to there. I would love to have seen it, but we'll see.
There's a lot got to happen tonight in there. But how many, I mean, we've got 9 matches already. Like, how many more matches? What's the maximum matches?
Well, Tony's done he's done a lot in the past and been criticised for it. But I think we're probably getting 4-hour show. So,
well, he starts at 5, not 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
5 for the 0 hour. Yeah, if you count from when the main show starts, 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock, 4-hour show. Plus 0 hour. So
to Arpus 10.
I don't know. There's a whole they've got to be out by a certain time, I think, and curfews and stuff. So plus trains and all that to worry about. Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But I say I wish the build up had been a bit better and we were like really juicy stories and reasons for some of the matches. Some of them feel a bit thrown together. Even the Bucks and FTR, it's like, yeah, you've got history, but I would have liked you to have set something up a bit more for this. I know they've got an interview tonight where they're both being taught. They're both doing, I don't know if it's a face-to-face interview actually, but that will hopefully give us some sound bites, if nothing else. I'd like them to very much talk about we're the best team in the world because we've done this, blah, 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 blah. I'm intrigued to see how certain people are going to go down at All In as well from all the problems that have happened in AEW in the last few months and year since the Brawl Out fiasco. Like, what's CM Punk's reaction going to be like? What's the Bucks' reaction going to be like? I think Kenny's probably safe. Hangman's probably safe. But I think the Bucks and CM Punk are going to get mixed reactions.
You think?
There's a lot of people who aren't happy with both of them, particularly CM Punk. He's very much controversial, but there's quite a lot of people who don't particularly like the books at the moment. If you read on boards and stuff, there's a lot of people who are getting a bit fed up with them doing the same old, and will say I'm slightly in that camp myself. I want to see something fresh from them. They've been coasting a bit for a while, as good as they are, and it's important to say their coasting is way better than most people's best day, but it's always good to see something fresh.
What do you mean, just like the same pretty much?
Yeah, same ideas. They're very. I want to see some new moves and
the FTB trigger.
Yeah, I want to see some new moves. I want to see just some twists on the characters. Really, they're a bit. They've not changed. In the time that Kenny Omega's sort of gone through 3 different versions of Kenny Omega in AEW, we've now got the same Young Bucks. Yeah. Really, it's just come on.
AEW, Kenny's done so well with his character at AEW.
Yeah, Kenny's amazing, and if there's anybody else who is the best wrestler in the world, it's Kenny Omega. But I do think Ospreay is possibly better at the moment. That is also a big question. What's the fan reaction going to be like for Ospreay and Jericho? Jericho's being billed as the face, isn't he?
Yeah, but Jericho's going to come out to Fozzy.
Yeah, he's going to get an amazing reaction. He always does.
So is Ospreay. That's going to be one of the matches where we're just going to. I think we just got to sit there and enjoy it. I don't think
exactly. I just wonder how if the crowd will pick a side on that one, because obviously it's our boy versus Jericho.
I mean, you haven't been to a latest one. No disrespect. So I think the UK we just have fun.
We have fun generally. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We always have.
We there was people booing Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, there will be.
We did the Bailey chant. We sang Edge's song. Could Edge? I mean, Edge calm, but are we who's coming? Quickly before we have to go to bed.
I don't know. Will we get
who's coming out for the Blackpool Combat Club?
No idea. I genuinely don't know. I'd like some of the guys who aren't on the card from AEW to fill the gaps, but they could bring in some people from outside. I'd love to say Big Bill or Brian Cage, Lance Archer, someone like that. But
yeah.
But then if you told me it was Minoru Suzuki and it was we got Shingo, which makes no sense because heel, he's a face. But you're going to bring out people like that, it'd be amazing. Plus, we've got the added thing of Rev Pro putting a card out on Saturday, the night before, which has got New Japan guys around and some of the AEW guys like Shibata's wrestling. Are we going to get him on All In? If he's in the area, are you going to bring him in? Tony seems to love the guy. I'll pop big time if Katsuhiro Shibata comes out. I don't think he'll be in Stadium Stampede. He doesn't fit with the Blackpool Combat Club, but again, 0 Hour maybe. I don't know.
What is his face? Excuse me. The tag team got back together. Fell out. They were with Jericho.
Pride and Powerful. Santana and Ortiz. They've been speculated on, but the question is, have they actually made up? Because it'd be great if they did, because they were a great team. It'd be cool to see them.
Like that.
They're great. I kind of hope that we find out tonight who Blackpool Combat Club have got, rather than find out on the night, because I don't want an anticlimax. It's got to be big. If you're going to do it, it's got to be big. If you're going to announce it on the night, where if there's at all a chance that it will go down as a bit of a dud, I would announce it tonight and give us enough time to process it.
I can't wait to go to bed to wake up to find out.
And then you got Collision spoilers as well if you want to read them.
I want all of it.
Yeah, I am thinking, do I get up stupidly early on Saturday and watch Collision? On Sunday and watch Collision before we go. But I'm going to be rushing around, so I think I may just read the spoilers.
I'm just going to find out today. It's all I want to know everything.
Yeah, I want to know the card. It's too important.
And then I wonder if they'll do any signings. What we got? We got like a 10 10 till 2 pre-show thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything there because they've got an event on Saturday.
Where's this
Locally.
event for them then? Where's it?
I think it's again at Box Park. But they are that's got signings and stuff. I believe this one that we're going to on the Sunday is food, early merchandise, and a DJ.
I reckon we'll see
Awesome.
somebody.
We probably will. They'll be mad not to at least bring some people out just to keep the crowd happy. So, a word of warning to anybody who is I don't know when we're going to get this published. Hopefully ahead of Sunday.
It's live now, and then I'll just leave it up.
If we can get it up there, that'd be great. If you are going, get your tickets transferred over to your wallets on like Google Wallet or Google Pay. They have sent an email out saying that Wi-Fi might not be brilliant on the day. So I'm pleased they have already done that for us.
Yeah. Have you got? I use Google Wallet. I like Google Wallet.
Yeah, I've done it. So yeah, it'd be very easy. Apparently they're expecting there may be problems otherwise with reception on the day. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Whatever happens, it's going to be good. We're going to have a good time.
Busy weekend. Such a
yeah.
Go to Birmingham Anime and Gaming Con on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, man. And then bed early. Cocoa at 8 o'clock. And then I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I'm so excited. Closing. What's the closing segment? What we got?
Well, it was going to be match recommendations. Have you got match recommendations?
My recommendation is it's not a cop out. I have thought about it. I've got two.
Go on, go for
it. I think my favorite one, the one that really means not means a lot, but like I started watching in Unforgiven 2000, the one just before Kurt Angle won No Mercy. He won his title in No Mercy.
I think I said No Mercy earlier for him winning the title. No Way Out, wasn't it? He lost it to The Rock.
He lost it to Rock.
Yeah.
So he won it at No Mercy.
Yeah. No Mercy lost it No Way Out.
Yeah, to Rock. Well, my match recommendation is Austin Triple H 2 out of 3 falls. Like No Way Out, middle
3
of the
stages
card,
of hell.
Middle of the card. Just brutal. Like
that was great.
Yeah. And like I was 5 months into wrestling. I didn't obviously. What I had was he'd hit him by the car. Austin had like dumped him on his head in a car, which should have killed him.
Yeah.
And then obviously he won the Rumble, and they kind of you just expected it to be Mania, didn't you? Like Austin Triple H Mania.
The way it was going.
And then I think,
or at least you expect Austin to win. Spoilers. Going into this match because of the match. Man. It's so like he's in the main event of WrestleMania. Of course he's going to win.
So weird. But he kind of just fell on him, didn't he, as well? So it wasn't...
Oh, it's brilliant, John.
And then obviously then listening to podcast, that they just didn't have any plans for Taker Triple H.
No.
That wasn't even planned. It was just like, oh, you two should fight each other. And that was it. And that was a great feud in like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So good.
And then it all led to the 2-man power trip after WrestleMania.
Oh my god.
I enjoyed.
I remember that. Because I remember that it was the Raw after, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? What? Hello, Carlos. How you doing, man? Right at the end of the podcast, Carlos Rodriguez, he was on our podcast. He's a massive wrestling fan. He's going to WrestleMania, I believe. Carlos, let me introduce you before we go. This is Chris. He went to WrestleMania 17. So I don't know who's going to the best WrestleMania. Who knows? I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, Carlos, we're going to AEW, just to let you know. Yeah,
we're a bit excited.
I don't know. Yeah, we are. Yeah, No Way Out, 2001. What a card! I remember it. Like you had the Fatal 4-Way with X-Pac, Jericho, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero.
Possibly, yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen that card.
Jerry Lawler versus Steven Richards. Jerry Lawler's
probably not the best.
Yeah, before because Jerry Lawler walked off, didn't he, or something? And they were getting rid of Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty got fired and he walked with her. and then that broke up.
Obviously, Rock versus Kurt Angle popped for that hard, and at the point, like I just Kurt Angle was like my favorite wrestler.
For God's sake, count!
Kurt Angle's my favorite wrestler. I didn't know that was a fuck up until not long ago.
Yeah,
because I just thought he just hit him with 2 double rocks. It was like
he just got a lost count or something, didn't he?
Something like that.
Apparently, he thought it was the second one. It was actually the third, or something along those lines. So he should have counted the pin. But you see how annoyed the Rock is.
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah. What else was on the card? But yeah, like just when I first met Kurt Angle, man, like just like this guy's a loser. But the fact that I hated him so much,
yeah,
like what a job. Like I loved him. Like Kurt Angle's the greatest wrestler of all time.
I
remember
remember
no doubt about it.
when they debuted Kurt Angle, and having a moment of this guy's nauseating. Why they want us to cheer for him, and then having a penny drop moment of they don't want us to cheer for him, do they? This is as nauseating as it is because they want us to hate him.
I mean,
Brilliant.
Were you aware
Keep
who
it up.
he was though? Like, were you aware that he was like?
Yeah, they built him up. Yeah,
legit.
They built up.
Like,
they had the gold medalist.
Was it? We don't get the wrestling coverage over here, do we? Normally.
No, but the WWF had mentioned him. Plus like Power Slam. Yeah, they built him up. Plus Power Slam magazine used to come out at the time. It's no longer running. Pretty much been taken over by Inside the Ropes and all that, and Wrestle Talk. But they used to talk about, oh, he's coming. They're going to build this up. Blah blah blah. He's training with such and such, and they've got all these plans. So we knew who he was.
Kurt Angle. Yeah. What a legend.
I am going to sneak in my own. Was there another match, or you just was it the show? You said
no,
you had 2 matches.
The one. There's no way out to like the whole pay per view.
You're going to go with the whole thing.
I will add to my particular match was incredible.
I will add to my Austin and The Rock from WrestleMania 7 and say the other match that I would not in at all related to All In or anything, but if you're going to go out your way to watch a great match, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker defending the WWF title versus Bret Hart, SummerSlam 1997, Heart and Soul. The stipulation being that if Bret loses, he can no longer wrestle in the United States. Shawn Michaels as guest referee, with the stipulation that if Shawn Michaels shows bias to The Undertaker, he will no longer be able to wrestle in the United States. And going into it knowing how much Bret and Shawn hate each other, The Undertaker suddenly found his working boots that year and suddenly started moving, rather than just like being like a zombie all the time. It's a phenomenal match. You get Paul Bearer involved, and it has possibly the best finish of any match ever in wrestling, in my opinion. It's just so well done at the end. I won't spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen it, but go out your way. SummerSlam 1997, the main event. It's go out of your way to watch it. Certainly the finish is amazing.
I'm not doing anything tomorrow. That's on the order.
It's brilliant
list. And yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, this podcast, Sims, but I've enjoyed it.
Unfortunately, it's just happened at like the stupid o'clock at night. Been to the zoo. Like, West Midland Safari Park, far from here, an hour and a half.
Nice.
2 hours.
I've had to work.
I don't know how to work anymore.
You share something in common with Kevin Owens, then. You're a zoo enthusiast.
Yeah, I like the zoo. We had a nice time. It was all lion, man. Like, lions are cool.
Ah, nice.
Like, literally, through a glass, I mean, this lion was just...
Yeah. If you got face-to-face with one, you're wearing well. It's good. It's a good place. Well, thank you very much for letting us finally do this podcast, Sims. We've been talking about it for a long time. I think I've mentioned on the main Nerdic Gods podcast that we were looking at in wrestling about 3 or 4 times, and nothing happened. So it's great that we've been able to do it. We have said we will do a follow-up with a discussion about our experiences at All In. And let's see how wrong we were with our predictions. But no, it's been a great show to be a part of. I'm very happy to be here. Sims, where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
I don't like using Twitter anymore. I think it's vermin. Um, I don't know. Just like just come to the Nerdic Gods,
Just go to the Nerdic
YouTube.com. Nerdic Gods. Like X is ruined. Like I can't even find my friends on it anymore. Like, um, yeah. Just come on to here. I'm here all the time. Um, yeah, that's it. Really, I just social medias. I'd like Facebook. Nobody. Me and Carlos likes Facebook. I'm always seeing Carlos on Facebook. But yeah, that's me. Please just follow
You
the
can,
podcast.
yes, definitely do so. It's great. And sorry, I'm meaning the video game podcast there. I'm not going, oh, podcast, brilliant. Follow that. But do follow that. You can find me at Critic Guy Chris. Thank you very much.
Bye. All right, the recording is finished.
Yeah.
But no, we're still live. Is that awkward, isn't it?
It's all like closing it and stuff.
I know, yeah. Chris, right, we'll end the stream and then
Yep.
say, oh no, it's so hot. I hate being hot, don't you?
Oh, I know. No feeling.
Thank you everybody who joined the stream. I really appreciate it. Nice. Appreciate it.
Were there people who joined the